For Comedy Hype News, I'm Terrence Sims. The road to climbing the Hollywood ladder is filled with obstacles, where only the strongest will come out on the other side. Doing whatever is necessary to ensure success is the mindset of those who are desperate. Actor and comedian trying to find his way in the industry, Jamie Kennedy would be the first to tell you he was desperate, even going as far as creating a fake agent for himself to book auditions. The plan worked as he quickly became a household name after starring in several breakout films and even getting his own TV series, which led to arguably one of his most memorable movies. Often playing a multitude of outrageous and crazy characters, Kennedy has left an imprint in the genre of comedy in his 4 decades in Hollywood. Here's what happened to Jamie Kennedy. Born in Upper Darby Township, a suburb of Pennsylvania, as a student growing up, Kennedy had the extreme displeasure for school, which carried on into his college years. While attending Delaware County Community College, he earned a grade point average of a 4.0 after his first semester. Unfortunately, Kennedy's 4.0 was due to the fact that he dropped out of every class except acting. Obviously, Kennedy had a passion for theater, which led to him making the move to Los Angeles to pursue his dreams. Starting as an extra in movies like Skin Deep and Dead Poet Society, he struggled finding more work, which forced him to get a variety of odd jobs, which were a gum scraper at Kmart, a telemarketer, and a hostess at a Red Lobster. While working those jobs, Kennedy studied at the American British Drama Academy and began doing stand-up comedy at various nightclubs and practicing his voice impressions. During his stint as a telemarketer, Jamie auditioned for well over 80 commercials with no luck. Jamie then realized that he was a pretty good salesperson, so decided to act as his own agent by creating a character called Marty Power, who would act as an old school agent. Kennedy chose his name hoping that people would mistake his fictional agent for real-life agent, Marty Bauer. The personality of Marty Power was a blend of many Hollywood agents he had come across throughout the years. Kennedy as Power would answer calls in a tough guy Bronx accent when pitching himself. His plan ultimately led to him receiving more attention from agents and talent scouts, so much that they would show up to his stand-up performance and he would eventually be featured in local newspaper. Kennedy would eventually score bits parts on shows like VR Troopers, California Dreams, Unhappily Ever After, and Ellen. Still looking for his big break, Kennedy auditioned for SNL for his 19th season in 1993. In a 2020 podcast interview, he revealed that he auditioned the same year as Molly Shannon, but she didn't make it either. That year, Norm Macdonald, Jay Moore, and Sarah Silverman would join the cast. Still trying to find his footing in the industry, Kennedy subscribed to what those in Hollywood call actor breakdowns, which helps aspiring actors find work. One day, Kennedy stumbled upon a script that was going to be called Scary Movie, we would all come to recognize the film as Scream. When it was finally released, Kennedy first read the character description for Randy, who was described as the gangly fifth wheel, who's also a movie trivia nerd. That stuck out to him, so he contacted his agent in order to get an audition. Kennedy read for the part of Randy, and the casting agent immediately fell in love with him. It wasn't too long before he met with the director, Wes Craven. After his meeting, Kennedy made it to the final round of auditions, where his competition was Breckenmeyer, Seth Green, and Jason Lee. During the Scream auditions, Kennedy was up for a part in the film Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. He scored that role, and on set, he found out how close he was to getting his next big role. Things were finally moving for Jamie Kennedy. That is, until he got a call from his agent. According to Kennedy, she said, "I have to talk to you." I'm like, "What?" She like, "Wes loves you, but the studio really likes Jason Lee." There was a time where I was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "It's fine, but Jason Lee is really being considered, but I think you're the front runner." It was like, "I have the role is yours, you're gonna get this role, you might lose this role. There's another person up for the role, this role might be Jason's. Honey, I don't know, you might lose it now. I don't know." Absolutely worried about the fact that his primary competition had more film experience than he did, Kennedy thought he lost the part. However, a few weeks later, he got the call from the director himself, who offered him the role of Randy. Romeo and Juliet was released on November 1st, 1996, while Scream was released on December 20th, 1996. Both were box office successes, grossing $151.8 million and $173 million respectively. Scream did so well that a sequel was immediately greenlit. Randy was a standout character from the first film, so he was able to negotiate a deal that included a percentage of the film's box office gross. Despite this, Kennedy's character was killed halfway through the film, and he admits having mixed feelings about the character's death, but till this day, he still holds the two films with high regard. For me, I love them both. It's hard for me to pick, but I love some of my monologues in two. I love that Randy got to do a lot, but I hated that he died. It also made a huge impact, so even though I hate it, somebody had to do it. Made it talked about that I did. Writer of the first two films, Kevin Williamson, reflected on Randy's death in the sequel. Well, that has happened where people are like, well, are they really dead? Do they have to be dead? I think after the sequel, after Scream 2, I remember people took Randy's death very hard, because at the time, that was a beloved character, which to me is what keeps the franchise moving. That is real. If you kill someone you really love, it makes it more personal for the people. I remember people going, he's not really dead, is he? He's not really dead. He survived, didn't he? When it came time for the third Scream in 2000, Craven found a way to have Randy back in the foil by having the characters watch a video recording that was recorded prior to his death. As Jamie continued to find success in film, at the same time, he also stayed committed to the art form of stand-up comedy. One night at the Laugh Factory, he was approached by the president of the WB network, Jordan Levin, who told him that he was funny when he bombed on stage because he always stayed committed. Kennedy's failures on stage is actually what led him to getting a development deal with the network, which became the Jamie Kennedy Experiment. The Jamie Kennedy Experiment was a half-hour hidden camera show mixed with sketch comedy that ran on the WB network from January 13, 2002 until April 29, 2004, with a total of 3 seasons. The Jamie Kennedy Experiment quickly became the WB's highest-rated show, bringing in 3 million viewers each week. In the show, Kennedy travels across the U.S. pranking suspects in disguise as another character and sometimes assisted by friend or relative of the accomplice. This seems like it was partly inspired by Sacha Baron Cohen's The Ali G Show. These kinds of shows possibly have inspired the types of pranks you see on TikTok or Instagram. One of his popular characters from the show, Brad B-Rad Gluckman, originated from some of Kennedy's stand-up sets, would lead to Kennedy's first lead role in a film in 2003's Malibu's Most Wanted. Kennedy began plotting the movie and was often visited by his friend, fellow comedian Nick Swartzen, who gave Kennedy some pages to add to his movie. Kennedy thought that Swartzen's contributions were gold, so the two decided to write the movie together. They finished the script in about a month and a half. I was trying to make it for 2 years independently. Just producers, they had the money, they didn't have the money. It just fell apart. After the Jamie Kennedy Experiment was proven to be a huge success, a producer at Warner Brothers asked the star what he wanted to do, and Kennedy told him about a movie he wrote about a white rapper from Malibu named B-Rad. When the producer asked what the plot of the film was, Kennedy didn't have much of an idea. Despite this, the two walked into an executive's office and pitched the movie. When the executive read the script, he told Kennedy that the script does not have a third act. The producer reminded the executives that Jamie Kennedy currently has the #1 news show on the WB. Even though the script needed some work, employees at Warner Brothers felt that Kennedy had proven himself with small roles in major motion pictures and as the star of his own series. They told Kennedy if he was able to rewrite the script, get some actors involved, among a few other things, they would greenlight the script. A few weeks later, Kennedy turned in a new draft and got Taye Diggs on board. That was enough for Warner Brothers to make Malibu's Most Wanted. Malibu's Most Wanted was a spoof of Eminem's character B-Rabbit from the movie 8 Mile, and it tells the story of a stereotypical white rapper and an abduction plot in order to scare B-Rad straight that just so happens to be carried out by his father, who's currently running for governor of California. The film received mixed reviews, but has since become a cult classic, making $34 million on a $15 million budget during its initial release. Before the film was released, stars of the film, Kennedy, Anthony Anderson, and Taye Diggs participated in an interview to promote. Diggs and Anderson were asked about portraying their characters in the movie. Diggs' answer led to his view on the stereotypes that were depicted. If you really look, this movie's kinda deep because of the comments that it's making. It says something about stereotypes, you know. What is stereotypical black? What is stereotypically white? But then, if you really think about it, what is acting white? Was my character in the film acting white because he went to Juilliard and used correct enunciation? What makes B-Rag act black? Because he wears his hat on the side of his head? Or that he sags his pants? One of the reasons I was drawn to this picture was because it brings it all up to the top. Jamie himself was asked if he took into account anyone that might be offended by the movie because it marketed towards such a large audience. Well, I don't think the movie's offensive. I mean, I've seen the movie with black audiences and white audiences, and black audiences seem to like it even more. Anything that could be offensive, or if we thought we pushed the line, we would go to the people in our cast and they would tell us if they thought we crossed the line. Kennedy was also asked about his character B-Rad and asked why a rich white kid would want to act black in the first place, especially considering rich white children often have everything they could ever want. That's a good question. I can only give you an answer from the white perspective. Part of it is, from a white perspective, being black is cool. they have their own language, their own dress. Part of it is from a white perspective. Being black is cool. They have their own language, their own dress, their own set of rules, morals. You see the guys in the videos drinking champagne without any glasses. They got girls that they refer to as their hoes. It's exciting. You know, any of it's something to be a part of. After lending his voice to animated shows like King of the Hill and Crank Yankers, Kennedy had 2 of his own projects set up for Warner Brothers. The first was called Dream Girl. The project didn't go through due to a similar film being made, which turned into My Super Ex-Girlfriend, released in 2006. The other film was called The After Party, which had a similar plotline to The Hangover, which would come out in 2009. As a result, neither of Kennedy's scripts went further than the development stage. New Line Cinema desperately wanted a sequel to 1994's The Mask, starring Jim Carrey. However, Carrey is known for rarely appearing in sequel films. Because Carrey didn't want to be in the new film, Kennedy's name became floating around for the consideration. Throughout pre-production, Kennedy went back and forth with his team, not sure if he should accept the role. He knew there were funny moments in the script, but it still needed a lot of work. The movie executives made an extremely tempting offer of $1 million. This was the biggest offer he's ever received at this point in the industry. Kennedy still declined, and when an executive from New Line Cinema caught up with him backstage at Jimmy Kimmel Live, they ended up doubling the offer, with promises of a pay increase for another sequel and a third film after that. Kennedy accepted the role after advertisement from his team. Now that it looked like the film was ready to go, production was halted because more problems would arise. When the WB found out that Kennedy was going to accept the lead role in Son of the Mask, they blocked it due to scheduling conflicts. The executives at New Line Cinema and the executives at the WB went back and forth for some time and proposed a schedule that worked for both parties. In addition to this, Kennedy met Jim Carrey at the Teen Choice Awards. Kennedy told Carrey that he was going to do a sequel to The Mask, but if Carrey didn't want him to do it, Jamie would decline. After Carrey's blessing, Jamie Kennedy was now available to do the Son of the Mask. Son of the Mask was released in February 2005 to negative reviews. Reportedly, the film cost somewhere between $84 to $100 million to produce, but took in just under $60 million, making it a financial loss. The film received 8 nominations at the Golden Raspberry Awards and 10 nominations at the Stinker's Bad Movie Awards. Both ceremonies celebrate the worst in film. To make matters worse, the film won 7 awards out of its total 19 nominations, including Worst Movie of the Year and Worst Prequel or Sequel. 2 years later, Kennedy headlined 2007's Kickin' in Old School, which was also a critical and box office flop, making $4 million at the box office on a $25 million budget. This was the second consecutive time that Kennedy had first billing on a comedy movie that severely underperformed at the box office. Also, in 2007, Kennedy produced and starred in the documentary film Heckler. The film examines the means, methods, and motives and its effects on live shows. The documentary also details the after effects that movie and music critics have on performers. Kennedy conceived the idea after feeling hurt of the poor reception of 2015's Son of the Mask, in which reviewers and fans of the original film attacked Kennedy personally rather than reviewing the film. Needless to say, the documentary received mixed reviews from critics. Kennedy spent much of the 2010s as a recurring or guest actor in various television series. He appeared in 45 episodes of Ghost Whisperer and 25 episodes of The Cleveland Show, among various other projects. Kennedy has multiple acting credits every year, not taking much time off. Aside from TV and film, Kennedy continues to perform stand-up comedy, and in recent years, Kennedy has focused his sights on podcasting, hosting a weekly show, Hate to Break It to You, with Jamie Kennedy. On his channel, he takes a look back at his career and chronicles the in and outs of the show business, and has even divulged information about his most famous roles, including Scream and Son of the Mask. Jamie Kennedy has spent his entire career creating characters that challenges audiences and critics alike. He stayed consistent in the industry, appearing in at least one project every year since 1994, a rarity in this business, making Kennedy a unique and special talent. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel. Follow Comedy Hype across all social media, and look out for the original content on our new streaming service at comedyhype.com. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Terrence Sims.